Hello, everybody, and welcome to week number 5 of the Premodern Showdown Series 5. I'm Michael Hoyp. I'm joined in the booth tonight for round 1 with Jared Doucette. How's it going, Jared?
It's going good. How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing well. I'm ready for a night filled with pre-modern action. So
hmm
we have our first matchup as Álvaro up against Rich Shay, and Jared goes in the pregame, or when we were just talking, he goes, I hope Rich isn't playing Parfait. I don't want to be here forever. So, so we'll see if I guess I'll jump over to the decks. Actually, we'll take a quick look at the standings of where we're at. So after
Yeah,
week
let's do that
4,
first.
I have the standings up. So two people are tied for first. Yes, as Jared pumps his fist in the air. Excuse me. Tom Metelsky and Jared are both 3-1. And then we have 4 players that are all 2-2. So Lanny, Will, Mike Arnold, and Rich Shay are all 2-2. And then 2 1-3 players with Álvaro and Jeff White. So a very a few people are pulled ahead, but you're not comfortable. I guess at this point, there's still a lot
Oh,
can
definitely
change.
not.
So
No.
makes it interesting for the players and for the viewers. And so we'll see how things shape up each week because I feel like usually there's someone who kind of is further ahead in the pack. I feel like, but
hmm
um,
Yeah, I mean, it's still anyone's game. Like you could still get in at 4-3, and you could still lose it at 3-4. So
mhm.
everyone's kind of like right in the hunt, and which is good. I feel like sometimes if there was a 4-0 or an 0-4, it's like okay, they're in or they're out. But like with everyone still very much alive at this point.
Yep, yeah, I would say even Alvaro and Jeff have a chance of making it. So
hmm
a lot still to play for each of them. And let's take a look at the decks that we have for this match today. So Alvaro and Rich. Alvaro has brought the Mono Blue Stiflenod, the Blue Red Tinker, and the Ponza deck. The Ponza deck he played last week, so he won't be playing that.
Right.
Rich has Red Green Goblins, Parfait Oath, and Blue White Stiflenod, and he played Goblins last week. So do you want to make a prediction? Do you just want to jump into the decks?
I was so off last time that I'm like nervous to try to guess again. But if I had to guess, Alvaro seeing what those two are left, I mean, I think he's not favored in a mirror match against essentially the Dreadnought deck because he's just mono blue, whereas Rich is going to be the blue white, which will
Mhm.
have not only meddling mage to maybe knock off part of his combo, but if he's ahead, but also he's got the better removal. Rich does, right? So then I think he would probably lean towards the Tinker deck, but I'm not sure that's good against either of the decks, honestly. So
Okay.
I will see, but I mean I think for Rich. I think Rich feels like he needs a win, so my guess is he might be slamming some Parfait, and which is his his bread and butter here.
Yep. All right. So let's take a look and see how Jared does with his predictions. So first, Alvaro will be playing the Mono Blue Stiflenaut list.
Okay,
So quick recap of what this deck is trying to do. It's trying to put the 12-12 in the plate. That's the only way it's going to win. And
right.
so that with Stifle or Vision Charm, the rest of it is a supporting cast of counter spells and card draw. I will say Alvaro has a couple powder kegs in the main.
Oh yeah,
Um,
that's good.
so
I never noticed those before, but
and
that's
so
definitely different.
well, I mean, usually when like a meddling mage comes down, you need
hmm
to boomerang it or like reality ripple it, and those are those are one ofs usually in the list, and those are
Right.
like the only ways to deal because if that card resolves against this deck, that's your only threat is the dreadnought. So
Correct.
um,
Yeah.
so that's the biggest change and a pretty subtle change at that. So a list that we've seen a while, and Alvaro has played a lot to a decent amount of success. So he will be up against Rich Shay and his famous Oath Parfait. So Rich
I
is,
had a feeling that was happening. Yeah.
yep. So I'm sure this is a matchup that Rich has played at least any version of Stifle, not like the blue whites and whatnot, that he is prepared for this matchup. But there are a decent amount of interaction pieces in swords, and then Aura of Silence and Seal Cleansing with the Enlightened Tutors to get those. It kind of is, are you able to get to that mid game, and then I think the Oath deck can pull ahead, but uh, it's always nerve wracking playing against a Stifle Knot list because they can just have like a turn 2 Dreadnought with a foil backup, and your one interaction piece is just countered. So
Yeah, I would say, but the Mono Blue Dreadnought is probably one of the better decks to only run on 1 or 2 mana, so you don't really need to trigger land tax too often,
Okay.
which is good. But at the same time, like, this deck just has so much it can do, and respond to almost every situation. But I'm glad we're getting it first, first in the night. It might take a while, but like, we're doing it when we're all awake,
Yep.
hopefully. Because when that was the last game of the match last weekend, it definitely helped me go to sleep. So that was nice.
All right.
But here we go.
I'll note, just because there's been a lot of questions. Yes, land tax is banned in Premodern. We submitted all the deck lists for this event. Prior to the ban, we decided to keep them for the remainder of this event, so we didn't change any of the lists. So Lanny and Rich both have land tax in one of their 3 decks, for anyone who's confused about that. But let's jump down to the match and get things started.
Okay, yeah, I just messaged them. I'm don't know about mulligans. I think Álvaro has kept all 7, and I'm not sure about Rich, but I think we're good to go. And I think it's Álvaro's on the play.
Okay. Yep. All right. Do you feel like one deck is favored, or would you have a preference if you had to pick one of these 2 decks? That might be more of a stylistic choice. I think you are much more of a Dreadnought player, I think, than an Oath Parfait. I would
Very
say.
much so. Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
So that is definitely me. I think I'm more of a more proactive, game plan kind of person.
I would also most of the time say that I like to be proactive, but the times that I played the Stiflenaut lists, I just don't particularly enjoy them. I don't know what it is. I feel like it feels like the games that I win, I feel bad because I just kill them with a 12-12, and then the games that I lose, it's because I just didn't do anything. So, all right,
Yeah,
Alvaro.
no, it's definitely a yes or no. It's
Yep.
like, which is why it feels like a combo deck.
Well,
So
I mean, uh, that's how I think of it. But I mean, I've seen a lot of people or heard a lot of people talk about, like, with the blue white lists or the other ones, that you can kind of set up a board state where you're going to play a longer game, and like people are
yep.
talking about like casting Portent with 7 cards in your hand so that you can go up to 8 on your turn and then like gush and then just have like whatever 10 cards or whatever in your hand to like fight this attrition battle. And so maybe it's just something that I need to change my style with playing these Stiflenaut lists. Anyways, Alvaro started off with an island, and Rich has the land tax. Alvaro has an opt at the end of the turn, and now it looks like he's spending his second turn opting again.
Yeah, my guess is that he's just trying to craft a hand as and avoid land taxing.
Well, you did talk about how this deck is able to operate
Yeah.
under, like, Alvaro could play draw go for a number of turns, even having lands in hand, not wanting to trigger the land tax and set up like a nice hand, and then either like on a turn go like land, Dreadnought. You could gush, pick those back up, or you could just pass and be like, "Oh, I have a 12-12. You can trigger your land tax. Have fun." So this is one of the better decks, I think, that like playing around the land tax, and especially like missing the land drop is not that big of a deal.
Oh, actually, Rich gets aggressive here, but essentially by playing the Oath proactively, so that it kind of like would discourage Alvaro from just throwing it out there. I mean, the Shard Phoenix isn't going to be very good against it, but gaining a bunch of life off of Ancestor's Chosen makes it so that 12-12 has to attack a few more turns probably.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Like, I don't know how much that would change Alvaro, because it's like a 50-50 chance of having a card that, I mean, and there's a chance if you get the Ancestors Chosen and not that many cards are milled that it doesn't really even matter. But
right. Also worth noting that sorry, we just got a powder keg that just got played. Does not kill enchantments. Does not kill enchantments.
Yeah.
We may want it to, but that does not kill enchantments.
All right.
Oh wow.
Rich is deployed a third land, but the undiscovered Paradise can always go back to his hand. He does play a Sylvan Library.
Alvaro looks like he's reaching for some dice for this powder keg. I almost want to leave it at 0 for any potential Mox Diamonds and then see where it goes. Because again, these can't kill enchantments. I guess you can get up for 2 for Scroll Rack is kind of another goal, but you're not gonna get it all the way up to like 7 or 5 for the Shard Phoenix or whatever. I don't know. All right, here we go. Vision Charm. Ooh, Vision Charm. That gets around the Oath, right? Because that's going to be phased
Yes.
out.
Yep.
Yeah. There we go. That's going to get an attack in there. That's a fun one.
So this is a spot where Rich does have 1 mana for a card like Swords to Plowshares. but he could use a card like Daze in this spot, or if
It
he had a
feels like a
foil.
daze.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Rich does have a swords.
Okay. Oh, okay, foil. I was like, you can't play that land now.
Yes, foil is the response for the Swords Plowshares.
Okay. All right, but he's going to be able to untap. He's going to untap and have those 2 fresh mana, so he could have counterspell for the next one or something like that. But you do get to dig with Sylvan, so this is interesting.
I mean, if you really, really didn't want him to trigger Oath, you could get in an attack with the Dreadnought and then activate your Powder Keg.
Yeah, I think you'll risk it at that point, right?
Yeah,
Or you could just Visage Harbin again, honestly,
sure.
just to try to make it so the Oath doesn't trigger.
Yep.
Duress. Okay,
Gabe has mentioned that you also have the Stifle as an option to stifle the Oath trigger.
that's for sure.
Or you could just stifle like a Ancestor's Chosen trigger. That's probably better.
Okay, well, it looks like Álvaro is just down to 1 card, and it's just another Dreadnought. We're in his upkeep. Does he have the second swords? Okay, we're going up to 2. We're drawing. All right, well, this is definitely getting in for 12. Boom. All right. Álvaro really hoped he probably just ripped a counter spell right there, or stifle would be kind of like the 2 things he would probably hope for. Trigger Oath. 1. Whoa, easy there. Okay, blessing. I mean, if this is Shard Phoenix, that's definitely not good enough.
Yeah,
But I mean,
that
this Ancestor's Chosen is going to be huge if he hits that. Here we go.
I'm making a prediction that Rich has one of the cards in his hand, one of the creatures. I don't know. Just the way he's
Feels
flipping,
like that.
it just seems like he's like,
Oh, there's the shard. Okay,
I don't know.
that's probably not good enough. All right, you should shuffle all that in, and then he's going to get to look at 3 cards, then hopefully find the removal spell. But otherwise, it's looking good for Álvaro. Because the trample still gets through. 2/2's not going to be enough to soak up 12 damage. Okay.
I guess the thing is though, like you assuming that the Ancestor's Chosen is in the deck. This would mean that a block would keep. Oh no, never mind. I was thinking he was at more than. I thought he could live another turn. No, never mind.
No. All right, he's going to Enlighten Tutor for his, during this upkeep. Probably put Seal of Cleansing.
Yep.
Or on top because he only gets 1 more mana. We can't go for the Aura Silence. But all right. So this is Counterspell. This is Stifle. This is Daze.
And I mean,
a lot of live cards.
Rich did just look at Álvaro's hand a turn ago.
Right, but there's one he doesn't know.
Yes.
Okay. Well, we know what's going to be on top there,
Mm-hmm.
and then he gets to look at 2 other cards. Put those back. Replay Undiscovered Paradise probably. Now, I wonder if the real tech is to put back the Seal of Cleansing. You just so they have no idea what's in your hand. keep them guessing.
I was to say one thing that's nice that the Shard Phoenix you're able to sack it. I guess maybe you're not worried about having. I guess you might.
Ooh, he's letting him on tap.
Uh-oh.
Okay. This plays around Daze.
Okay. All right, that would be the reason then. Because Seal of Cleansing would not have.
Oh, you're going the wrong way. Yep, there we go. it's already a very good removal spell. Then all of a sudden deal the opponent damage too. That'd be amazing. Just exile your that's exiled Álvaro for the record. I don't think it matters. Okay, well now he's got to start all over, but he does already have the Dreadnought in hand, and he's already done. He's down to 4.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Like, I don't know. Rich probably will just attack with this Shard Phoenix once and then sack it. I mean, given that Álvaro has a Dreadnought that like Rich knows about, you might say like, oh, he doesn't have a Stifler or Vision Charm because Oath will trigger for Álvaro. But
oh, Impulse. I was gonna say. I wonder what that last card is for Álvaro. He didn't attack. That's interesting. Or does he do this in response? Yeah, he's doing this in response.
Yeah, I guess it's in response to the seal. So I don't know if the timing makes a difference.
Yeah.
All right, this Shardfing's got a lot of work to do.
He got a lot of work. Yeah, you're right. He sacks it.
Okay.
I don't know why sack it there.
Just so he doesn't trigger Oath.
Oh, his oath. Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, if he did get into like a Stifle or Vision Charm, it would just be like a free Dreadnought.
I guess that makes sense.
All right, Portent is going to give Álvaro a few more looks at his deck. He's gonna try and find. He's basically got to find 2 copies of Vision Charm / Stifle.
Yeah.
Because
he's got a ways to go.
There's a seal cleansing already in play. So.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Ivory Tower. Okay, but he's not triggering land tax, so I mean, also Gush would be very good. We can get a Gush going. Obviously, just help him really dig and control his lands versus something like land tax. Another cantrip. Yeah, he's just sculpting a hand. He's going to want, like you said, at least 2 Vision Charms / Stifles to play around the Seal of Cleansing and also the trigger of Dreadnought. And he's probably going to want Counterspell backup too, because I mean, there's only 1 Swords in the Yard because of the Blessing shuffled another one in. But I think we got we're going to be in for a little bit of a haul here, as we dig and kind of sculpt the hands. But I mean, Rich is going to have to trigger that Ivory Tower a lot to get out of Dreadnought range.
Well, one thing I'll note is there's only 4 Phyrexian Dreadnoughts in the deck, and that's the only threat. That's the only thing that Rich has to worry about. So there's is 1 gone or 2? I can't even.
Well, only 1's gone.
Okay, 1 got exiled. Okay.
Well, it's in his graveyard, but it should be exiled.
Sure. All right, Álvaro does have a Gush.
Okay, now we're cooking with gas. Well, with snow, I guess. Snow-covered islands.
Snow and water.
Dude, he's gonna be so sad when he plays that deck, and then someone thermokarsts him, and they gain a life. It's just gonna screw everything up.
Was that the podcast that you were on that you guys were talking about that?
I think so.
Yeah. I know I was listening to something today, and someone was talking about thermokarst.
Oh, that was on was on Will's.
But you were on
podcast.
it. You were on. Yeah, you were on.
No. I was on it previously, but this was one that Pat Burt was on with Fran and the Mr. T guy from the Misty Mountain.
Okay.
Yeah.
Richard Wilhoit, I believe is the name.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Enlightened Tutor. I mean, the target I'm thinking is Aura of Silence. Okay.
Zern Orb. Aura Silence would be good too.
Zern Orb could be good to trigger land tax, but or just Scroll Rack, I guess.
Well, Scroll Rack's gonna die to the Powder Keg, but
that's true. Well, you could use the Seal Cleansing, but then obviously you'd have to have shields. Your shields would be down for the Dreadnought. So
this Aura Silence basically makes it so that Álvaro has to play a 4th and probably 5th land, because he has to. That Dreadnought can now cost 3 instead of 1, and then it's gonna, and he needs obviously the 2nd spell. So this is gonna be interesting to see what happens. Because basically he's enticing, he's requiring that Álvaro, go for the trigger land tax. What's he looking for? Yeah, there we go. They finally saw my message. Is he playing that Flash of Insight? I mean, because that could matter, right? Because that deals something with the graveyard.
Let me check the list real quick.
I'm not even sure on the wording of the card.
He does have one in the main deck. Yeah.
Okay, because that does impact the graveyard somewhat, right?
Okay. Exile and blue cards for the flashback.
Oh, exile and blue cards. Never mind. Oh, use Vision Charm to. Fascinating. Why'd you do that, Álvaro? Vision Charm to mill him.
Well, it
got rid of the aura.
Yeah,
okay, there it is.
Yeah,
Got rid of the aura. There it is. Now that makes sense. All right, that's actually a good play. That's one less thing for him to get. And
Mhm.
it keeps it so he only has to play 3 mana. So he still has to probably find now a third copy essentially of Vision Charm. But that cleared out a big obstacle, because not only is it a removal spell, but also really disruptive to his mana.
Yeah, the Vision Charm is good against removal spells in general, but the added text of 2 extra mana to cast the Dreadnought is problematic.
Huge. Yeah. All right, Álvaro's sculpting pretty well. I'm liking this. All right, 2 floated blue mana. So again, he needs at least 2, 1 Vision Charm, one, in order to use the Dreadnought.
One thing that's notable is Rich has cast 2
Cast it.
Enlightened Tutors, and both of them have been for like seal cleansing targets. So he hasn't had like the comfort that he's able to like go get Scroll Rack. I mean, I guess he hasn't triggered land tax either, but like Rich hasn't got his like draw engine per se online. I guess he has the Sylvan Library. Oh, I missed. When did he activate the Sylvan Library? I missed that a while ago. I don't know when it was, but Rich is at 4. So
Yeah, he did. I think. Yeah, I mean, him being at 4 or 8 doesn't really matter. Well, I guess could with
blocking with a 4/4 Ancestral
volume
Chosen.
of 4. Exactly.
I don't know.
Okay, well, he just gained a life, so he could, in theory, draw another card. Now,
I feel like the more turns we go, I feel like I like Rich's position more and more. I mean Alvaro's not in a bad spot here, but like, I don't know. I feel like soon Rich is going to turn the corner, and
ooh, Álvaro, what are you doing there? Playing a 4th?
he might have a gush.
He's already cast 2.
Maybe like if the land tax triggers, okay, he does have a gush. I was gonna say like,
okay, that's the 3rd one, so note that.
I would say maybe like having extra mana to cast like 2 spells on one turn was more important. That like, yeah, you can trigger land tax, but since
you already played a land for turn.
Oh, yeah. Are you messaging them?
Yeah.
You could refresh real quick, and then you'll be, their sound will be on for them. You can let them know.
Oh.
Refresh and whereby.
Okay. Give me 1 second then.
Yep.
Hey guys! Just one quick thing. I think Álvaro, you already played a land for turn. That's how you got up to 4 lands. So you just gushed and put that land in. Yeah. Yeah. Just sorry. Yeah. Go and mute me again now. Sorry.
Okay. Oh, we got that straightened out right away.
Yeah. Sorry about that, guys.
Just figured that might be impactful.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more pressing than having your Phyrexian Dreadnought in the graveyard for a few turns.
Yep.
So, thank you.
Yeah, like I said, he went up to that 4th land and then he tried to play. I'm sure mistake, but that could matter. All right, so we got a Vision Charm on this, and he's looking through. That's one Vision Charm. So I think there's 2 in the yard right now. No Stifles in the yard, I'm pretty sure, though.
I believe that's correct.
Yeah, but he's also cast 3 gushes.
And 2 foils. And both one powder keg's in the graveyard, one's in play.
Yeah, how'd that one go to the graveyard? I don't remember that.
Foil. I think
foil, right?
Foil.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it was foil and of course an island in the. Yeah. Okay, we're deep in the tank here to figure out what to do with this Vision Charm. I'm assuming it's still on the stack. Rich has.
Well, I guess Rich has the option to seal cleansing it right now. That would require Álvaro to have a Stifle or another Vision Charm.
Yeah.
But what is the benefit to waiting for Rich? I guess if he has.
Okay, you let it phase out.
Okay.
I don't think there is much benefit for Rich. I guess it makes it so that next turn he is short on mana.
Actually, it wouldn't be bad. Like you have to think it's pretty likely that he has a stifle, right?
Yeah.
And so if Rich doesn't have Ancestor's Chosen in his hand, you use a Seal Cleansing. Oh, I guess. Never mind. I was gonna say it still get phased out. I was gonna say
I think his goal here is to make it so that when Álvaro goes to his next turn, he's gonna untap in his upkeep. He'll just have the 2 mana. So he can't have, counterspell and stifle,
okay.
in that upkeep. He can still have, foil again, because he's definitely got a full grip. But he can only have, he's limiting on him that upkeep mana, which again matters because of that extra, potential land drop there, that we caught. So I think that this is going to be interesting to see what happens. All right, so phase in, upkeep. This is going to have some fireworks, I think. Yeah, swords. Now he's going to swords first, obviously, so that because that can't be stifled, obviously. So if he's got the foil, this should be foiled. Yep, looks like it's going to get foiled. Yeah. Yep, still has his mana open. And then we're probably going to go next to the seal, where hopefully he's got the stifle. And then
Okay. Yeah.
I got it. Okay.
Yep.
Good job, Álvaro. Good sequencing there.
Yep.
Good by Rich too. Like, he definitely did what he had to do.
Yep.
But the Dreadnought deck can just have the answers, That's what makes it tough. So it makes it very tough.
Yeah, I guess changing the order how Rich would do that wouldn't have mattered because the 2 mana I guess he didn't use mana for the foil anyways. So yeah, so how many Dreadnoughts? That was the second one. I mean,
well, he pitched the third.
Yeah, but I would say like Rich played. That was 2 Swords of Plowshares or 3.
Well, he had a shuffle in there too with the blessing. Okay. I think he played 3 Swords of Plowshares.
And he had an Aura of Silence and a Seal Cleansing, and those are all cards that like Álvaro had. Well, I guess one of those the Aura of Silence was fought with the Vision Charm, but a ton of interaction that Rich had, and Álvaro still able to come up on top.
Yep. All right, let's go to the boards.
Okay. So first up, I have the Oath Parfait list up. The sideboard is 1 Argivian Find, 1 Tormod Script, 1 Crumble, 1 Duress, 1 Red Elemental Blast, 1 Pyroblast, 1 Ray of Revelation, 1 Seal Cleansing, 2 Pyroclasm, 1 Warmth, 1 Anured Brushhopper, 1 Karmic Justice, 1 Engineered Plague, and 1 Akroma Angel of Wrath. So a lot of different cards.
Yeah, Crumble's obviously coming in. Duress is coming in.
The
Karmic Justice? No.
Red Elemental Blast and Pyroblast will come in.
Yep, for sure.
Seal Cleansing will come in.
Seal Cleansing. Yeah, I think that's what was that 5 cards then?
So
what comes out? I don't know. I'm just gonna trust Rich on this one.
All right, there's 5 cards. What cards do you want to take out?
Maybe Ivory Tower.
The one thing is like Zur's Breeding is like really good in this matchup.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So like a card like Ivory Tower isn't bad. I guess you could take out Tormod Script, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
I mean, it interacts with the Flash of Insight.
And that's it. Yeah, no, we're not worried about that.
Then
it might be one of those where you shave. Maybe you shave like a Sylvan.
You take out Shard Phoenix, right?
And then put in a Chroma just to close it faster.
The bird is just a turd, right? It's not the word here. It's just a turd. I don't know if do you bring in a Chroma?
I don't know. This isn't my deck, but at the same time, I just, Rich is going to show us is what I'm sure of. He's going to show us because this is his kind of thing. So,
I mean, you could just take out the entire Oath package as Raph has said.
Maybe. I could take it all out. That'd be interesting.
So yeah. It'll be interesting to see exactly how Rich boards. Let's look at Álvaro's list. So 4 Annuls, 2 Blue Elemental Blast, 2 Curse Totem, 4 Hydroblast, 2 Powder Kegs, and 1 Boomerang. So
this is definitely 4 Annuls.
4 Annuls. Yeah, those look really good.
Mm-hmm.
Would you bring in a Boomerang? Are the Powder Kegs?
Powder Keg, maybe. I don't know.
I think I take out Daze. I feel like.
Definitely, especially on the draw, too.
Well, I mean, Rich is just one that usually will... The games are going to go long, usually.
Yeah.
And Rich will play around it if he can, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, So that's one thing I think you still get the value of him playing around it if you even take it out. But maybe I would just take out 4 days and bring in 4 and null.
Yeah, I don't think you need more powder kegs because, well, again, powder keg is good against Scroll Rack and Mox Diamond, basically. Um, so that's something. But I think those nulls are going to do much. Do a lot too. That's all I can really think of. Maybe the boomerang just in case. I'm not sure. Flash of Insight maybe just to but that can reload. Reality Ripple seems okay. I don't know. A lot of okay cards. But I'll let them know that they can go.
Mike Arnold says, I'm surprised Parfait never played a Wood Ripper for Dreadnought. That would be a sweet one to oath up. Do you know the Wood Ripper?
That's the vanishing that also can naturalize. Take a vanishing counter off.
Not naturalize. It just gets artifacts.
Okay, so it's a crumble.
I believe is Mike Arnold the
one
who someone is playing it in this.
He's playing a Wood Ripper. That's why I mentioned it.
Okay, I was say like
he's got a Wood Ripper in his rock sideboard.
I always liked the Wood Ripper. I mean, like I've never played it, but yeah, Mike Arnold does have one in his Secret Force.
Mike, this is for you. I'm getting questions about the natural order rock list from people. I'm just saying. So I think we've created a good new monster. So people are talking about it. I'm just saying. People are stoked. Maybe not the 62 and 26 like you, but I'm just in general. I think it's got a chance. Natural. I've talked to Mike about the deck a lot. It just natural order is just one of those cards. It's too good not to see play. It's just it's sweet, and we saw it last week with him. Showing the power of the Neshoba early against a goblins kind of deck. So, it's just sweet. Smashing with big green creatures is definitely how Garfield intended Magic to be played. It was just Crawl Worm and Force of Nature back in the day, and those weren't quite good enough until they gave us some good ones. But that was definitely what we were supposed to be doing: is smashing with big green creatures.
Is Blastoderm a big green creature? That's the creature I smash with.
Oh yeah, that's a fun one, and that's smashable for sure.
Yeah.
Blasto does. I mean, our favorite though has got to be the Scary Terry, right?
Yep.
Just
I'm a fan of him as well.
Yeah, big fan of the Scary Terry.
I mean, the Nasty Blasty is pretty cool too. So
Nasty Blasty, Scary Terry, yeah. The Virtuous Verdant Force. I mean, we can come up with a lot of alliterative adjectives for these creatures. They're sweet. The Sassy Symbiotic Worm.
Is it a Dreadnought the Wimpy Shrimp? The not so wimpy shrimp.
Yeah, we'll have to think something. Literally the jumbo shrimp. That's what we're really. It really is. It's a jumbo shrimp. All right, I mentioned them to go when they're ready. Looks like we're doing mulligans now.
Who do you think improves more from the sideboard?
Probably Rich. I mean, I know it's efficient, but I would have to imagine that Rich probably gets quite a bit more.
Yeah, also like if Rich just has enough removal spells, it's like really hard for Álvaro to pick a fight kind of thing. Like you can only have your limited amount of like how much counter magic you can deploy on one turn, and Rich is less likely to have that bottleneck because you can play out cards like Seal of Cleansing or Silence, or like Swords of Polishers only cost 1 mana, or the Crumble, and then so I like, and the blue elemental blasts, or the red elemental blast.
Yeah.
So a lot of the things that Rich is doing are like very cheap cards, and I think that cheap interaction is very good at fighting, especially when you have it en masse, that you can just stock up with it, and it's really hard for the Dreadnought player to protect against all those removal spells.
I think Aura Silence is the card, though. That card can really mess with the Dreadnought player because they don't want to play a lot of lands, and making them play 4 or 5 lands is definitely not where they want to be. And and then even if they do get to cast it, they still have to fight through its ability to destroy an artifact. So I mean, that's the card that is probably the most scary, and that's the card I'm sure Rich wants to ramp into on like turn 2 and just say, let's go. I have so much time now. All right. Well, it looks like Rich is down to 6, while I think Álvaro is still at 7. Oh, he's down to 5.
Well, that's a little harder, I guess. Like when you're getting that low on resources, that is a card like Scroll Rack is a lot less impressive when you mulligan a number of times.
Yeah. You know what? 1 land tax trigger can solve this problem pretty easily.
That's true.
one Undiscovered Paradise land tax, one Mox Diamond land and land tax and then he's back to full.
The one thing that's just like a little unsettling from Rich's perspective is you're most worried about the early game. That's when I think the Dreadnought like shines the most, because it's really good at deploying a Dreadnought early and protecting it. And if you just have less resources initially, like it's just harder to fight that initial fight, and it doesn't take very long. You only need to like protect the Dreadnought for 1 or 2 turns, and then you're just dead. So
I feel like we've seen a lot of, I know I've been a part of a lot of mulligans, I feel like, in this BSS so far. I don't know what's going on with our shuffling, but
I mean, I will say, I don't think Rich is afraid of mulliganing. I think he's very aggressive in the sense of he understands that there are certain cards in his deck that just don't matter. Like you won't get to utilize Scroll Rack if you don't have a card like Swords of Plowshares to get you there. You're not going to be able to take advantage of some of your cards if you're not staying alive. So I think he is very often, he has thrown back hands that are fine, they're playable lands and spells, but they're not the right lands and spells. He can do better, I think, is what he thinks a lot of the time.
Well, this is Rich can't be his one land's an Undiscovered Paradise, but I'm guessing he probably has a swords in his hand, as at least a way to interact. But
it could be like he's just going to cast an Enlightened Tutor and then they get land tax or something. I don't know. Rich will just pass with just the Undiscovered Paradise.
I mean, Rich doesn't hate this because he's not, the Dreadnought's on the board already, but at the same time, I mean, Álvaro's now looked at like 7 more cards.
Yeah, it really just depends on how strong that initial Álvaro hand is. Like, if you have the Dreadnought and you have the Stifle Vision Charm, then you're feeling really good because you just need like basically one interaction piece, one foil, or soon it'll be a counter spell.
Yeah, I mean, this is now probably where he wishes he still had days.
Sure.
But this is another problem with the mono blue version. It really just has to dig for that Dreadnought. It doesn't, there's no tutor or anything to get it. Which I don't think the blue white version is playing Enlightened Tutor either, but I feel like it has another game plan, right? It says melee mage.
All right, 2 Undiscovered Paradises for Rich. So if he's casting a 2-mana spell, it might be a little bit painful.
Yeah, but at least he can cast a 2-mana spell. So
that's true. Another opt for Álvaro. He's deciding whether he wants
cards. Well, you put it in the left pile. That's the better pile. That's the key.
Is that like the I'm going to use this card soon hand, and the other ones are like these are for later?
This is the stockpile, and this is like these are the cantrips or something. This is how I keep digging. All right, powder keg.
Powder keg, not the artifact we were thinking was going to get deployed, but
no. I see. This is where I would almost want to leave this at 0, just because a Mox Diamond would stabilize Rich a lot, and those bouncing back up are,
I mean, I will say, Rich is light on land, so like a Mox Diamond, I don't even know if Rich would play that at this point, because he'd have to pick up the Undiscovered Paradise to do it. So
yeah, but it basically trades itself for a more consistent use of source of mana.
But in the face of the powder keg, like I don't know if I would use it.
Yeah, definitely not. Oh, we have 2 mana. We've replayed that land. That's good. Okay, what are we doing? We going for it? He's got to have a hand at this point.
Yep. Looks like the Dreadnought's coming out. And we have a Stifle.
Phyrexian Dreadnought has entered the chat. Okay. No seals on the battlefield, no Aura of Silence, so like, this definitely use the Stifle instead of the Vision Charm at this time to protect it. Oh, and we go to cleanup. All right. All right, we're not on cleanup.
Like Rich might want to do something at this spot.
We're in the tank.
I guess if you have a swords, now is a good time to use it because you could get to untap and then redeploy your Undiscovered Paradise.
Yep. Counterspell. Tempest counterspell. How do we feel about the Tempest counterspell?
I'm not the biggest fan of it, but it's fine. They're all good. Yeah.
He almost looks like the cousin of like your Mercadian Masks disenchant guy. He's like, he's got his hands like, I don't know what's going on here. So
we should like count how many cards just have this little That
The hand
pose.
things, yeah.
Yes.
Yep,
All
there's
right.
the Mox Diamond.
Meanwhile, a second Swords of Plowshares was deployed, but foil was at the ready for Álvaro.
Okay.
There is an Oath of Druids, so
Oh,
ooh,
he keeps the days in. Oh my
there's a
god, he's
days.
got it all.
All right. I was gonna
He's
say
got
that
it all.
if you like have the Ancestors Trojan, might get you enough life to just bide enough time against the Dreadnought.
Wow. I mean, that's what Dreadnought does, right? Sometimes it just has all the answers. Oh, that's tough, Rich. Sorry. That was 2 swords and an oath that all got dealt with for only 2 mana, essentially. That's crazy. That is tough magic. Oh, blessing. Let's yep. Shuffle those back in and hope.
Hope you draw one of those. I think that's what we're looking
I think
here.
again, I think if I was Álvaro, I would have popped that keg earlier just to get rid of that diamond. I wouldn't have let him untap with it. Man is short on his side, so now this is giving him an out, right?
Yes.
He couldn't have done this play. So I mean, if the swords is at the top, then you could be in trouble. But I mean, Álvaro still also has 4 cards, so he could have another counterspell. He could have a daze. He could have, a vision charm. There's a lot of, a lot of things to deal with swords right now.
All right, here we go. Nope, it's not there. We see
Not there.
a few cards from Rich, but none of them that will interact with a Dreadnought.
Oh God, I still had all these.
He had a foil, a gush,
foil, a gush,
stifle, and a
stifle, and a null. All right.
So yeah, even if you had that swords, that gush would have been able to put an island back in Álvaro's hand. So.
Yeah, I mean that's what the Dreadnought deck can do. That's for sure. That's what they can do. So. Valiantly fought by the Atog Lord, but when the Dreadnought deck has it, it has it. So not much you can do there.
All right, let's take a listen into the players as they discuss their sideboarding.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah, much better. I'm not at 100%, but I'm feeling much better than I had been.
I brought in the IQ team fine too.
Thank you. Yeah, very, very much better there. Yeah, that was good. Very, very nice. That's hard to beat.
It gets like hands, so.
Yeah, your deck asked a lot of questions and I did not have all the answers.
No, that's for sure. You guys got us? Unmuted. Hello.
All right, let's.
Hey.
Well,
I'm gonna unmute.
Oh, there we go.
I was saying, Rich, you had a lot of answers in that first game, but overall had answers to your answers. So
yeah, I needed him to have one fewer answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did have a lot of answers, but not enough. Yeah. Dreadnought comes and asks a lot of questions.
It's very demanding that you don't have a lot of time. Like once it comes down,
right. So. Yeah, it runs you over very quickly. You get one free hit, and that's it.
Yeah, well played by both. I mean, I don't think there was much to be done better there. When the Dreadnought deck has, all the answers to your answers, it can just keep going like that. It's just very hard to interact with when they have all the free counter spells. Like he dealt with what? Two swords and an Oath of Druids by only spending 2 mana to do so. Like that's pretty damn good,
Yeah. And I'm very glad that we recognized the real problem of this matchup and banned land tax, because that was way too good. Just too dominant of a performance. You saw that land tax arrived and basically the game was over. So
yeah. This is definitely not the matchup for it. That's for sure.
Rich, so the second game you mulliganed to 5 were either of the first two hands were either the first two hands that you mulliganed serviceable?
No, those were not strategic mulligans. The first hand had no land whatsoever. And the second hand had 1 swamp, no black cards, and no Mox Diamonds in it.
Yeah.
So I kept a Undiscovered Paradise Swords to Plowshares hand with Sylvan and Scroll Rack. And if I could have found another land, I could have actually started casting things, but I found another Paradise, which is not the best land to have found.
No.
And from there, just never really got off the ground, you know. He answered everything that I drew, and I wasn't really able to play any card draw spells or anything like that to dig.
Yeah, and The nice thing is with your sideboard, you're able to bring in a bunch of cards that are cheap. Like, I mean, you have like Crumble, the Blasts. I mean, if you're able to deploy like preemptively, like a more Seal Cleansings or whatnot, but you need to get to that mid to late game to be able to have that plan. And yeah, them all getting hurt, and especially not having a bunch of mana, and just made it a lot easier for Álvaro to kind of set up, knowing that you're only gonna have to fight like one, maybe two removal spells.
Right.
So
I kept a 5 that wasn't a very good 5, but it had land swords, and the alternative was to go to 4. And the only way 4 would even start to make sense is if it had a like Mox land tax, but the odds of that were not very high, obviously. So, and Álvaro's hand just cut through everything I was trying to do both games, But hey, well done. That is a powerful thing.
Is this a matchup both of you have played a lot?
Yeah, I usually win it, but it's obviously, nothing to be taken for granted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, between Rich and me, we have played this matchup 3 times.
Okay.
The first time in both monthly, I won. And then was the PSS, not PSS, the Spring or the other one.
I think it was the Derby, right?
Is it Fall Brawl or Spring Fling?
The Brawl, yeah, the Brawl.
He beat me 3-2, so it was really close. And now this time, so I really wanted Rich to play this deck because this is this is the last time we will be able to actually play it. And I think that it's a classic matchup. So I love it. I love it to be playing this cat and mice matchup, because you can be the cat sometimes in the matchup, and sometimes he can be the cat.
It's true. It's really
true.
I'm gonna guess though, if someone said, Rich, do you want to play some? Let's just pretend the band in half and let's play some games. I feel like he might be like, yeah, I'll bring out my Parfait Oath deck and still play with land tax. So if you really still wanted to play a few matches, some exhibition matches, I think Rich might entertain that idea.
I mean, if Rich wants to keep the deck built, I'm open just to play if he wants. Just remember the good times.
I'm actively working on keeping the deck going.
Okay.
Getting land tax banned greatly inspired me to keep Parfait going. I want to keep all the joy and happiness the Parfait brings to the community still alive, despite the best efforts of some people that just don't enjoy happiness.
I mean, I always love to play against Parfait with any deck. Like, I mean, I want to start end conversations on anything, but I feel like Parfait was a puzzle in some ways that we didn't have the chance to solve.
I agree. And I think some people did solve it. Like Landstill is really bad for Parfait.
Yep.
And I think that the metagame was adjusting. People were figuring out how to make Sly better against it. People were figuring out how to do a lot of things. And I think the metagame is going to be a mess. I think that Dreadnought or Gush will eventually have to get banned because of the way the land tax banning is going to warp the format. I said that the day it got banned. We'll see if I'm right, but I think we're going to go in a direction where the decks sort of pushed aside by land tax are going to put us in a really awkward situation where Dreadnought or Gush will have to go. That's my prediction. We'll see if I'm right.
Goblin Lag is the target now.
Hey, you leave him alone.
He's
just a 1/1 for 1. Jeez, come on.
Goblins were powerful before. But now they are running rampant.
All right. Well, we could go pretty deep, I think, into metagame predictions and ban restrictions. But thanks for the match, guys. But
excellent games.
Job well done, Álvaro. And as you're looking to climb your way back in the standings of the PSS, now you got your second win. So I mean, we looked at the standings and everything's pretty close, so I think it's anyone's game at this point still. So
still can find a way in.
All right, we'll let you go, players, and then we will get things set up for our next round. So don't go anywhere. We will be right back with our round number 2. Jared's going to be moving from the booth down into the hot seat. He's going to be playing up against... Who are you up against?
Mike Arnold.
Mike Arnold. All right. So we'll see you soon for round 2. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.